guys, Chris Invesrep here, and welcome back to another episode. Hope you guys are having an absolutely great day. And we're actually going to start introducing some new stars to our show. This is one of our mangrove snakes. We basically refer to them as the Boiga melanotus. Absolutely stunning snakes. Super easy to keep, funny enough, if you get the basics right. If you don't get the basics right, they can belly up pretty easily. That's why you don't see a lot of them around. But if you just get the basics right, they do very well. We're going to be focusing a lot on a couple of the Boiga species that Invesrep works with, and we'll keep you posted. So I'm just going to put this little fellow away, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so the last couple of weeks, my phone has been ringing quite a bit more, and I'm getting a lot more messages. This time of the year, that changing over to winter, it's almost like the last couple of years, we kind of missed going from, I'll say, summer, autumn, winter. We get a very short autumn falling into winter. So by the time people realize it's too late, and then what's happening at the moment is we get severe temperature fluctuations where we're dropping down from a 25 to a 15 to a 12 or anything like that. It's not just like a 5-degree drop. A couple of things are happening. People are still taking their snakes out. People didn't make provisions in the enclosures. They didn't make provisions in the reptile enclosures or snake rooms, and that creates now a problem. You're creating severe fluctuations, and severe fluctuations, I've mentioned a couple of times on my previous videos, is you're going to start getting respiratory infections throughout your collection. Okay, so this video is just to how to avoid these things from happening. Prevention is better than cure. If you want to know how to treat respiratory infection, we've done a great video on it. John has done it, and that really works. We've got super good feedback on that video, and it's probably the safest treatment for respiratory infection. The first thing you need to do to avoid respiratory infection in your collection is make sure that your hotspots are running perfectly in sync with what it should be, in the sense of make sure that your heat source is adequate to carry right through the enclosure like it should. Personally, I'm a fan of these ceramic heat emitters because they don't just create a great basking spot right over there, they create great ambient heat as well. I've done a video on ceramic heat emitters and why I'm a fan of that. Crucial, any heat source must be run with a thermostat. You can't just let a heat source run uncontrollably. You're asking for trouble when you do that. But even heat pads, have them connected to a thermostat and make sure that everything is up and running and working. If you've got that, you're now giving the snake a chance to decide whether he wants to be on the cooler side or on the hot side. Unless you're a breeder and you need to temperature cycle your snakes, do it the right way. Switching off the heat is not cycling a snake. You need to gradually bring them down. And once again, the only right way to do that is with a thermostat. What we do with our green tree pythons, for example, we do a nighttime, daytime set cycle. So in other words, we don't drop the temperatures. All we do, instead of a 30-degree right throughout the season, all we do now is we'll drop it by 25-degree at nighttime and we keep it on 30 at the day. So during the day it will come up again and during the night it will come down. You can manually adjust this, but I just don't have the time. So I've got one of these DTC 120s doing that for me. Once again, what you put in is what you're going to get out. We use pretty much state of the art when it comes to the stuff that we use because obviously we really want to breed these guys. Okay, but if that goes from 30 to 25, given the ambient temperature in here, it's gradually going to drop down to 25, stay there, and tomorrow morning is gradually going to pick up again. So it's not doing that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I'm standing in the tropical neonate and hatchling room. So obviously my temperature minimum is at 20. How do I regulate that? All fan heaters. The reason I'm saying all fan heaters, you can use a fan heater. The problem is the fan heater, especially the guys more inland, not the coastal guys as much. I mean, we coastal and we don't struggle with fan heaters. But I do have a couple of problems with fan heaters. They dry out the air tremendously. So not a fan of that. Number two is they are heavy on power. Living in South Africa, power has become an issue for us and they don't regulate themselves. So fan heaters, heavy on power, dries out the air. Not a big fan of that. And believe it or not, they can actually get too hot. The reason I'm loving an oil fan heater is You can adjust it to where your needs are. You can put it in 1 or 2 and just adjust the thermostat. And the principle works the same as a geyser. You set it at a certain temperature and it will stay there. So let's say we do get a winter day where it gets 25, 30 degrees, which is very possible in South Africa. That will switch off and will only switch on at a certain degree below that. And that's exactly what you want. And also why I'm a huge fan of that, if I do get a power outage, it switches off, but it gradually cools down. So it does keep ambient temperature a little bit longer in the room than a fan heater that just switches off immediately and there's nothing going for it. Okay, so crucial to have your ambient room temperature running at a very stable temperature as well. If you're doing colubrids, that's not sensitive, your corn snakes, most of your milk snakes, stuff like that, I won't be too concerned about ambient room temperature. But if you're keeping tropical snakes, your boas and your pythons, everything, you need to make a plan to get your ambient room temperature to a minimum of, let's say, set at 20 or 17 or 15 degrees. That if anything below that happens, you've got a backup plan that will carry you through that. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting with a dead snake or respiratory infection. Okay, and then the most critical part, and people don't realize it, is in the summer months, there's nothing wrong with taking your ball python or your corn snake or your pet snake out of the enclosure and just relaxing in front of the TV. It's quite relaxing and we all do it. That's why we've got these snakes. It's a very therapeutic thing to do. The only problem is now you're taking it from a nice enclosure that's running 27, 28 on ambient temperature. You're taking it there to your lounge that's running at 12, 15 degrees. We can still regulate our body temperature. Snakes can't. Now you're once again dropping that snake. And that shock is asking for a respiratory infection to happen. So winter months, if you are going to be handling your snakes, rather try it and do it in a heated room or in a controlled room. Do not take your snakes for drives in the winter months. Do not do anything that will cause a severe temperature fluctuation. If you take it out the house to the car, just that 1 minute or 30-second walk in 10-degree weather is enough to cause problems for you down the line. Okay, so remember that, guys. And then the most important thing about respiratory infection is pick it up as soon as possible. Once again, the video we've done on that, the signs are pretty obvious. You're going to see a gaping mouth. You might see phlegm coming out, like a slimy substance coming out of the mouth, and also the puffing of the throat. But some of these signs you got to watch out for. People jump to the conclusion of a respiratory infection, especially your bigger snakes. If they're about to shed, they tend to have a wheezing noise on them. So if your snake's in the blue and you hear a wheezing noise, wait till after it's shed out to see if it's still there. If it's still there, then you know you're sitting with respiratory infection coming on, and then treat it accordingly. Also, when you see the throat puffed up, just give it half a day or so. Sometimes what happens is a snake will drink water, especially the bigger the snake, the more prominent it is. If you see that snake has got some puffing in the throat, just give it half a day, go check back on it. And if you see it's gone, then you know it probably drank some water and it's perfectly fine. And also the slime, the phlegm coming out of the mouth. If you see phlegm, give it half a day, because water can also cause a little bit of that. So don't confuse them. And even I get scared. I was in the breeding room and I heard this horrible wheezing noise, and I checked it was my Woma python, and I know it was in the blue. It shed out that same night. The next day, all was clear, 100% fine. So even at our level, we still get scares. You don't want to play with something like RI, and then if you get RI and you see you're not getting out of this one, go check out the video. Right, guys, so that's the most important thing. So the point here to remember is, of everything that I've said, is just watch that your snake temperature stays stable within the winter. And if you're going to move the snake, move them from a stable environment to another stable environment that's similar. Do not temperature shock them or fluctuate them severely, because that severe fluctuation is what's going to cause your respiratory infection. We're going to go into my snakes not eating and all that in different videos. Also, there's a lot of things that, and I won't call them problems, this is natural behavior that's happening with snakes throughout the winter versus what they do and act in the summer. Okay, Guys, that's it. It's a nice and short, sweet one, but I just felt with all the message I've been getting, I had to tell you guys this information, and it's pretty crucial. So get your enclosures in order, make sure those heat sources are running, make sure they're working, test your ceramic heat emitters, and make sure there is power going to them, because sometimes they can flunk out and you don't realize it. By the time you realize, it's too late. Okay, so get everything in order. Guys, other than that, please like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. Cheers, guys.